Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to episode 79 of Adventures and Mousecapades. Today, we are going to talk about what possibly Mr. Josh D'Amaro is going to be updating the Galactic Star Cruiser to. I think it's going to be a Spirit Halloween. What about you, Nathan?
I think that is the perfect use of the Galactic Star Cruiser building, is to be a Spirit Halloween, at least for 1 year.
Yes.
He did say he has plans.
He has plans.
Quote unquote. Yeah. I mean, we all have plans. We'll see what actually happens. They did take a big write-off on the whole thing. So though I don't know if that was the building, that may have been largely the technology and stuff like that inside. We'll see. So they can't do, I don't know. There's legal things they have to watch out for. So.
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to go.
Yeah. We talked to some people who went. It would have been great. I really enjoy having used that $6,000 on an actual cruise.
Yes.
So, yeah.
For 7 days rather than a day and a half. Yeah.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about today, although it could be a whole other discussion.
Indeed.
Today, we are talking with Tyler, who is a cast member at Disneyland and worked Splash Mountain. I met Tyler when I did Star Wars Celebration. When I was working at Star Wars Celebration, he was working there as well, and got to talking and figured out he was a cast member and said, maybe we should get him on our podcast because he's just an awesome guy that I've found so far. So Tyler, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to do this.
You're down in Anaheim and you're a current cast member.
Yes.
We do want to clarify that you are not speaking on behalf of Big Mouse. You are here on your own volition. Your opinions are your own, all that good stuff, right?
Yes. But while I'm a cast member, I don't speak for the brand or the company. These are just my personal experiences.
Excellent. There you go. So lawyers, leave him alone. He's a good guy.
Yes, please.
Well, Tyler, would you mind sharing a little bit kind of your Disney history? Did you go a bunch when you were a kid, or kind of like how did you find yourself pulled into the Disney universe?
Yes, I've been following Disney since before I was even born. My family grew up on Disney. It was very much my dad convinced my mom, oh no, we need to have Disney playing before the kids were even out of the womb. So that way they knew the right path once they're here.
That's right.
And very much since have just loved Disney as my family. We grew up in Northern California and several times throughout the year would come down to the parks. Loved just being able to come, see everything, did all of the movies growing up that ever since I can remember, I've always been a Disney kid at heart.
That's awesome. I'm kind of jealous. I only went once when I was a kid, so
I went maybe twice. I don't know.
Yeah.
How did you start working at Disney? Did you do the Disney College program, or how did you become a cast member?
So I first started my senior year of my college. I wasn't a DCP, the Disney College program, but I was looking for a job through one of the summers I was down in Anaheim, and I saw that Disney had applications out. And I was like, this would be super fun. Again, I always grew up going as a kid, and I always saw the cast members. I'm like, I think this could be a fun little thing to do. And I was kind of like, well, we'll see how long I do it, but I'm still here 2 years later. And it's just been so fun. As I started in attractions, I'm still in attractions, started in New Orleans and Critter Country. And it's just been a journey since.
So when you joined Disneyland as a cast member a couple years ago, what was your first role?
So my starting attraction was the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes, which unfortunately most people don't know, or they
Mhm.
walk by and they think it's just a cute little photo op. But it was my first attraction and very much one of my first homes at Disney. Is for those who don't know, it's basically like an under budget jungle cruise. Is we're on that boat, we're telling those jokes, but we are going to make you paddle as we tell our jokes and get you back. But it's just so fun. Is I don't know. The canoes have just always been like something that, like, again, when I was a kid, I never once rode those canoes. So when I first
Yeah.
found out, I was kind of like, "What is this?" But as I've worked it, it's just they're such a great community. The guests, once they get on those canoes, it's usually they'll do it once, but they'll say, "Wow, I'm really glad I did that."
Well, we need to add that to our list because
It's a
I've heard
lot of work.
it is a lot of work. But I've heard from somebody else that the canoes were absolutely magical. So now I'm really interested.
They're very fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend, even in my bias.
Awesome. What else have you done at Disney?
So after the canoes is, again, with attractions, you are based in a certain land. And so for where I am, New Orleans and Critter Country are joint together for your attractions. And so I started off at the Dave Crockett Explorer Canoes. Then about 6 months in, I got trained at Splash Mountain. And then I think 2 months ago, I learned the Haunted Mansion as well.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Alicia will hit you up for all sorts of insider information as soon as we're not recording.
Oh, absolutely.
That is my
Absolutely.
favorite. That is my favorite attraction.
We
is the
actually
Haunted
have
Mansion.
the a stylized sign on the front of our house that says "Welcome to." What's it say? No, welcome to
It
Novak
says
Manor.
Novak Manor, but it
But
looks like
it's-
the Haunted Mansion
yeah.
sign. Yeah.
I love that.
How long were you a Splash Mountain cast member?
So I learned it in February of 2022.
Okay.
And so a little bit over a year.
Nice.
When you joined Splash Mountain, had it already been announced for closure, or was that before?
So it was announced, is I think they officially announced that during the pandemic.
Okay,
And
that's right.
so they had announced that it was going to be changing into Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but they hadn't announced the date yet.
Okay,
And so again, is they were still cross-training people to learn the ride, still bringing in those new hires as well. That the time that I learned, it was kind of like, we know it's going to be changing, but we don't know how long until.
got it.
What was your favorite part of learning and working at Splash?
That's a hard one. There is so many. I mean, again, it's talking about from the cast member side is Splash Mountain just has such an incredible cast around it that just, I mean, being on that inside is, there was never a day where I was like, wow, like I have to go to work. It's just like, gotta get through these 8 hour shifts. I mean, going to a shift at Splash Mountain was always something that I looked forward to because the cast is just incredible there. Is we were all very, again, just a tight knit family that no matter who you were working with, it was always, you were excited to see someone. Again, as we constantly were just hanging out, having fun. That even, I mean, up until that last day, it's just we knew we were in it for the long haul together.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, from that's like from my side, just being on the inside of the ride. But as far as just the whole ride itself, I mean, just it is one of those fun rides that has that story. I mean, again, it is being able to be that cast member that have those kids that come back that maybe have been too small to ride when they first wanted to, but finally grew those few inches and them saying, I'm ready now. And just having those moments of like seeing kids ready, or again, just the kids who have anxiety for roller coasters that have that little bit of fear, but you know, you can tell them like, hey, like, try it out. I promise you, like, it's fun to me. And like when they get back off that ride, like they are smiling. That just like having kind of like those magical moments have been a great part of that ride.
I don't think I've ever talked to somebody who's worked in attractions, and I'm guessing most people out there haven't either. What does it mean when you're working at Splash Mountain? Like, what does a typical day kind of look like?
So it kind of depending on when you start, is if you're starting in the morning, we have like an opening crew that brings the attraction up into everything that it needs to be prepared for the day. And then kind of how it works is that you learn every position at an attraction. And so throughout your shift, you're cycling through different ones. I could start my day at the barn doors at Splash Mountain, greeting guests, welcoming them in. And then after a few shifts throughout the day, I can end up inside dispatching those logs, or I can end up outside at the exit, kind of saying goodbye to people. It's just there's so many roles that we have at that throughout the day that we just cycle through them so that we continue giving those breaks, giving those opportunities for the cast members to switch out, as well as we get to work positions that we like or get to skip the ones we don't like.
How many different roles were at Splash Mountain?
I think we had probably 10 to 12 different, per se, like positions you could be in.
And then how often do you rotate through?
So usually we have like rotations that come out like in like 30-minute intervals. And so like if I had an 8-hour shift, saying that I didn't get the same one twice or 3 times, is you could easily go through probably over half of those positions in a day.
Okay.
But again, you are getting your breaks, you're getting your lunches. That there were days that I probably saw the same 3 positions throughout the whole day. Because again, you're not guaranteed to be when you get that rotation, you're not going to be at the top all the time. Maybe you're getting someone's break and they have only 2 rotations left. So it just kind of very much depends on when you're clocking in for those assignments, that what you get is going to be what's coming out.
Okay.
I think that's an interesting take, though. Switching where you are on the attraction, I would think that would help with monotony, definitely.
Very much.
Yeah.
You have those cast members, I mean, even myself, that's like, oh man, it's like, I love being at the barn doors, and some that are like, wow, I don't want to be at the barn doors today. And so again, even though you get those assignments, like sometimes you do have to do those positions, but it's that great knowledge that A, it's only for 30 minutes, and B, you don't know where you're per se going next, depending on what rotation's out. And so it allows kind of like that free roam of saying, okay, you're not going to be stuck at the same place all day, which is amazing.
Right. You mentioned, and I'm just going to grill you for all sorts of weird questions because I have you on the phone right now. When you mentioned cast members coming in early in the morning and getting the ride up and going, and we've seen Splash Mountain's testing, or it's not running, or whatever. Like, what does testing mean? Like, we see like logs flowing through, but like, how long does testing last? Like, is there anything special that's going on?
It's testing, like sometimes in the morning, like we have to like cycle through logs just to make sure everyone's coming back clean, making sure that each log kind of is looking its best shape. So sometimes again, like we'll have like that delayed opening because we're making sure that all the logs are running properly, or sometimes again they go in throughout the night to kind of touch up some areas. And so because people are going into the attraction, we have to do extra cycles to make sure that everything's good in the attraction as well.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Do you have any core memories from working at Splash Mountain?
I'd say like one that has always stuck out to me is so again, it was a day that I was at greeter at the barn doors for like the start of my shift, or at some point in my shift. And I had this family come up through the lightning lane, and they had 3 kids that had, or 2 kids that had autism, 1 with Down syndrome. And they were all very excited to ride. They were all tall enough. They were all very excited. They all scan through, and again, whenever I have just family members that have just special needs, I always, again, they touch my heart. I work with kids with special needs that whenever I see them, it's very exciting for me. And so just to see how excited they were, which is amazing. So I sent them through the barn doors, and then my rotation came. I ended up going inside the attraction to where we have is like our grouper position. And so I was there. They ended up in my line. And they were trying to figure out who was getting what seat. And one of the little boys was like, I really want to go in the front. And the mom was kind of preparing him, saying like, okay, like just be prepared. Like you're going to get wet. Like, are you scared? And he goes, no, I want to go in the front. And she looked at me and she goes, can he go in the front? I was like, absolutely. Like if he wants to go in the front, like he can go in the front.
Yeah.
And so I put them in the log. They were getting ready. I sent them off. And then another rotation come through, and I was at kind of what we have is like our dispatch console,
Mm-hmm.
which is the one that sends the logs off and also receives them when they get back. And so I was there, and the family had come back, and the little boy, I mean, was just so excited right in the front, was just bawling his eyes out. And he gets off, and I look at the family. I was like, "Did you have fun?" And like he just wipes his tears and goes, "Yes, I had so much fun." He was like, "We're gonna go again." And just again, it is
That's
like,
awesome.
"Do you guys want to stand off to the side? Like, I can put you guys back on." It was one of those. I was like, like they were just very sweet, and so.
Yeah.
I sent a few logs. They had figured out their next position, and the little boy, I mean, he came back. He goes, "I'm going the front again." I was like, "You sure?"
That's awesome.
And he said yes. And so again, we sent them around again, and the second time again, he wasn't crying, but it was just laughing, his little smile off his face.
That is
just
cool.
seeing them again, having that family interaction was just so sweet. The parents were super thankful that their kids got a ride, that they were given the chance to ride again, so that way he could experience it with not the tear water in his eyes, but just the splash water in his eyes.
Yeah.
That one will always be something I remember.
That's so amazing, and I'm sure they thanked you, but I want to thank you because it's cast members like you, it's interactions like that really make the parks and just a special kind of place that our family loves going, and it's why we keep going back. So like, keep up that great work. I love where your heart is, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that, not just for that family, but for everybody else's day that you get to interact with and make better. So that's just thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What is the most interesting thing that you've seen somebody do on Splash, if you can talk to that?
Yes, I mean, I think that question will revolve a lot around Splash takes photos on the drop. And again, we get to see those photos, and just people get very creative through the years, Disney has changed their rules on per se, like what props you're allowed to bring. But I mean, again, we have families that will bring a board game and play the board game down the drop. We have, I've seen fishing poles. I've seen just so many funny ones. I mean, again, is people wearing like those little like swim caps and full on just attires. I think my favorite picture I've ever seen, in which, I mean, it wasn't per se like an interesting scene, but just truly a funny one, is we had a group of nuns come and ride the ride. And again, it was in the traditional nun attire. And so just seeing that picture of them just going down the drop.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It was a very funny day. As we all, I mean, I think for a long time, we all had that photo somewhere in the ride.
So that's interesting. It makes sense, but I never really thought about it. So one of the positions is actually, watching those photos come through, and I'm assuming, we'll say, editing a few of those out.
So yes and no. Is that something that we used to have, as far as like, we do have someone that gets to like view the pictures, but the editing came more from the photo side. And so Splash doesn't do that side anymore, but we do have a position where we did get to see the photos. I mean, it wasn't per se a part of the position, but it was the added joy of getting to see some of these funny ones.
Yeah.
Got it. That's cool. Were you working Splash on its last day?
Yes, I was.
Oh, wow. What was that like?
It was the most fun type of chaos one could try to prepare for, but can't imagine. I had a kind of like a mid shift, so I started, I think, around like 11 or 12 in the afternoon that day, and I think my shift was probably until like 7 or 8. However, is a lot of us stayed up until that final log, and so it was just a very surreal thing. Is I think a lot of us, I mean, because Disney World had closed theirs first, we tried to prepare ourselves kind of like through watching that through the trial and error. I mean, just again, as the day came, and just, I mean, it was mostly about just again being with the cast members of all of us who have worked there, putting on the best show for all of the guests and just making the most out of that day.
Any like special memories or things of note that happened on that closing day, that closing evening?
I mean, again, as I think it was just kind of like as we got up to that final hour, everyone in the land was kind of, all eyes on us. We had so much support from everyone in Disney that was around us that just seeing, again, all of the cast members that work the attractions next to us or our managers, just everyone was there. And just, as we kind of sent those final guests through, just again, seeing those barn doors close for like that last time, it does have that sentimental feeling that, just to be able to be there and be a cast member for Splash, like that was kind of like one of those moments I was like, wow, like never in my life, like in what I per se like of dreamed of that moment, but like being in that moment, like that'll be something that like I'll always remember.
Yeah.
I know Disney World had cast members go on the very last log. Did they do that at Disneyland as well?
We did. As soon as we sent our final guests through, all the cast members that were there working the ride, closing it down, we were all the last ones to go. And again, is another memory I'll always have is, obviously you go through the ride and again, we're all, just sitting in silence, taking in the ride for like one last time is trying to, again, have that photographic memory of the ride, even though we've all ridden it thousands of times.
Right.
But it's like having those moments of like, okay, like this is the last time. And then as we're going down the big drop, a lot of the guests that were still in the park were just on the bridge watching the drop.
Yeah.
And every drop that went down, they were cheering us on and just, saying thank you. And so, that was also one moment that, again, is everyone that was in my log, we were crying by the end of that, just having that moment.
Yeah.
That it was a very sweet thing to end Splash on.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I would imagine that's a very surreal experience. This is history. Like you are part of history happening. What was your, I'm sure you've seen it online and you may not be able to talk about this, but like, what was your take on people selling quote unquote authentic Splash Mountain water?
Again, I will also preface this with, this is my opinion. I don't speak for the brand or the company, but best of luck to them. if that's how you make your income, I would love to see how it is going for them still. Again, it's just, we've had, again, as we all joked about when we saw it happening in Disney World, and again, is obviously, we had those instances where we would see a guest, like, bringing those empty water bottles and everything, and we'd have to be like, oh, are you done with that? Like, here, like, I can take that for you. Or just, again, like, the guest walking out with the bags. It's just, I'm like,
would you actually want water from Splash Mountain?
And literally, that was something I was like thinking about. So like, I could easily fill my own Ziploc bag with water from my like faucet,
right?
Write a cute little splash on it. I'm like, wow, I have my water. I'm like, it doesn't even have the pirate smell. Like,
yeah, that's true.
So you mentioned that now you're actually working over at Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Just what has the transition been like going from one iconic ride that's closing to another that is the focus of a lot of people's trips to Disneyland?
It's a very different feeling. Is obviously, Megan, is we know everyone in the area. Obviously, like I knew that I had the chance of working Haunted Mansion, being in the area. That it's a very fun thing to do, but again, it's a very different ride than compared to Splash Mountain. That it has been like, again, is a lot of us. We first joked as we were getting ready to close down Splash, is wow, like we're all orphans now. But again, we're all still very much in the same area that we have, like, again, just that community aspect that we were very much welcomed into whatever attraction we went into in the area.
Right.
And being at Haunted Mansion has been a very fun change in what I was used to. Is Splash Mountain is a very fast-paced ride, whereas Haunted Mansion isn't as fast. That it allows you to kind of see how to operate at a different pace and being able to enjoy different things.
Right.
That it's been a very fun transition, but again, the first month has been kind of those stepping stones of getting used to it.
Right. Right.
I just love that attraction so much. I love the little twist that cast members will put on it when they're welcoming you into the mansion itself. I think Nathan, you had one that basically like you broke out into laughter because I can't remember what he said, but you were trying to go in and they had to turn you away.
Yeah, I forget what the phrase was off the top of my head right now, but it was something like I was the first person that they stopped, or the next in line going into the room. And I forget what the phrase was, but like those kind of interactions, like in character, that the cast members get to do, like make sure you enter into the dead center of the room, like all
the
that
deadpan delivery, all that.
Yeah, I love
we
that.
have a lot of fun quips that we are able to throw in. That I would say that part is a very unique and fun part of Haunted Mansion. Is again, like as you learn the ride, you get to learn kind of what works best for your ensemble of the character that kind of like you put on. That having those moments again is I'm still learning kind of what character I am at the mansion. Is we all have the jokes of like being a happy haunt or whatever type of ghost pun we want.
Right.
That is a very fun thing that we get to bring to the show for the guest.
Now, and that one goes down for, is it like 6 or 7 weeks in order to switch over to the holiday overlay?
Yes. I mean, I don't know how long we go down, but I do know that is starting soon. I think September. I think they announced that.
Yeah, and they have the movie coming out too. I know you all just had some stars from that over at the Haunted Mansion there. What happens with the cast members during the overlay? You guys just transition to another attraction for the time being?
So usually how it works is we know several attractions. Okay. So again, it's kind of like with Splash going down is I knew that I had the canoes, that if I didn't have another attraction by the time we went down, I would have gone to the canoes. However, again, is the goal of the area is to have you at least have 1 or 2 attractions. So that way you get to bounce around, you get to see different things, and you get to have like that enjoyment. And so a lot of us that are now at the Haunted Mansion do have other attractions that we can go to during those downtimes for the like refurb or as they transition it into Jack's house. But as well as there are kind of again is the cast members that do the parades or do help with like the guest control aspect of fireworks in the shows, that we can also go there during these times.
Got it. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in your specific neighborhood or your area of the park. There are some of those more generic-y, floatery kind of things that you can get pulled into and work in. So that's good. That's good. At least they'll have something for you to do.
Exactly.
Are you hoping to be placed at Tiana's Bayou Adventure when it opens, or are you just kind of wherever they put me?
I would say, again, is in full transparency, if I'm still, again, in attractions by the time that Tiana's opens, I would absolutely love to go back. Again, not only for the purpose of I loved just how that attraction works, but again, I think a lot of us that closed down Splash Mountain do still have that very much affiliation for we closed one ride, we want to open it to its new home.
Yeah.
And so I think again I would love to absolutely be a part of that opening crew, depending on when it opens and if I'm still in attractions at that time.
Yeah. Tyler, is there anything that we haven't covered about Splash Mountain that you think the world should know for posterity? Like, were there any like backstage secrets or anything that you could share?
You can't tell the secrets.
I don't think, to be honest, there was nothing special backstage. I was like, sadly, we don't have a basketball court like the Matterhorn.
I was just going to say, was there a basketball hoop anywhere?
Because Splash Mountain was created originally from Splash, we don't have like any of those like hidden like, oh, we have this part of this ride because it
No.
used to be here. That we don't have anything like that for it.
I
That
bet there will be with the new one though. They're gonna have
I
to put some sort
that's
of
my
nod.
hope.
Yeah, yeah. I had a random question that popped up, and feel free not to answer this. How often did Splash Mountain go down?
Where was the moon at? What were the sea levels? I mean, I would say as soon as it was announced that we had our final close date, I think the mountain also heard of that close date, and she said she was going out with a bang. I think up until I think the last 2 weeks, when they announced it, we went down every single day.
Oh my
Oh, wow.
goodness.
And again, it was, I mean, it was like a bingo card. We went down for every reason that mountain could come up with. I mean, again, I'm pretty sure that this made news on one of the Disney headlines. I mean, we went down because a baby possum decided it wanted to ride Splash Mountain. And so we were down for like 2 hours trying to get that possum out of the ride.
Wow.
I mean, again, it truly was a bingo list of what is going to be today's adventure.
Right. That one probably doesn't have a reason code on the form for baby
No,
possum.
no. It was very much again, is we make sure all the customers know that we're down. It was kind of like oh, like we're down right now, and we're just kind of like, oh, like why? And just kind of like trying to be self saying like, oh, there's a baby possum in the like flume, and it was like, what? Oh, there's a baby possum. What? There is a baby possum in the log. Like, I'm like, oh, like.
One of the critters came to life.
Wildlife infiltration.
All right, Tyler, I'm going to unleash my wife on you. I keep begging her to be gentle on these kind of final fast questions, but we'll hopefully she pays attention and does it this time, but no guarantees.
You are making this out to be a lot worse than it really is.
I don't know if I should be nervous.
No. This is just me asking like your favorites from the Disney universe. And it's meant to be like a quick answer, like your gut reaction type answer.
Okay.
And this includes Disney universe, Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, etc.
Okay.
Who's your favorite character?
Iron Man.
Do you have a favorite movie?
Can I do like subcategories?
Totally.
Of, like
Go
Disney,
for it.
Marvel, Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is something that my family and I we would create brackets like every year of like our top, like I think this past year we had I think over 100. I think it was 164 because that's how the bracket would line up.
Right.
And we had to literally pick like Disney movies and get to the final bracket. And so
Oh, wow.
that's why I have to ask that is I'm like in my head I'm like I have to based on like the sub levels of okay, I'd say as far as I'll start with Marvel, Iron Man 3 is probably my favorite just because again I love Iron Man. It's a great
Right.
one. Star Wars, I would probably have to pick Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Pixar, probably Monsters Inc.
Nice.
And as far as Disney, I'd probably have to go with Aladdin.
Okay.
Nice. All good movies.
This may be a loaded question. What is your favorite ride?
This could be oddly specific, but Big Thunder Mountain at night when the fireworks are going off.
Oh,
Yes.
that is our
100%.
favorite.
And like if I'm getting more specific, the last seat as well.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
We had a nice little happenstance where we happened to be riding Big Thunder during the fireworks, and we'd never done that before, and it was just awe-inspiring. It was so cool to do that, to get off the ride and just be surrounded by fireworks. It was really fun.
Yeah, that was in Florida though, wasn't it?
I have no idea.
It's probably similar. It was an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder Mountain there in California is just it's better. Most of those classic rides in California are better. Let's just be honest.
You don't pull my leg with that. I absolutely agree.
Disney World or Disneyland?
Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Out of all of the parks, do you have a favorite?
So with that one, I would have to say Disneyland Sea in Tokyo Disney.
Have you been?
Yes.
Oh,
I went a few years ago and just, it's just incredible. They do it. I mean, the food, the rides, everything in the merchandise, Tokyo has it nailed down.
We've heard this from a couple of people, and it's really making me want to go visit over there.
absolutely.
I absolutely recommend. Again, it's my goal in life is to visit every Disney park, but that one probably comes closest to beating Disneyland in Anaheim.
That's cool.
Do you have a favorite hotel or resort?
Ooh, probably the Grand Californian is during Christmas time. Just love.
What about the best Disney restaurant, like a sit-down restaurant?
Am I allowed to say Club 33?
Yes,
Sure.
100%.
Like that one did live up to everything that people say it is.
Yeah, we've been lucky to go twice, and they were pretty magical experiences.
Yeah.
Here's another polarizing question. Best Disney snack?
Ooh, that is hard. Again, I think I have to go with Tokyo Disney. And it's a tie between, they have like these like Mickey mini fruit popsicles that just, I mean, again, I've never tasted anything like them. They're really good. And Tokyo Disney has flavored popcorn. They have like every like stand has a different flavored popcorn. And again, like that's something they're very known for is like you just go and sample all the popcorns during the day. And it's very good.
All right, we're definitely going to have to go to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Sterling was saying he wanted to do that for his graduation trip. So,
well, okie dokie.
It's like 6 more years down the line. We'll get there eventually.
Right, exactly.
Maybe you have to do a parent trip to plan it out first.
Oh,
yeah, we have to scope it out. Make sure it's okay for him to go to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tyler, I like your thoughts. I like your style.
Exactly. You know.
Tyler, I just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing a bit about Splash Mountain and the magic that you were able to find working there. And honestly, again, just thank you for the magic that you created and continue to create for the guests there at Disneyland. It's folks like you, it's cast members like you who really who make the magic happen. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was very fun just to chat with you guys.
Yeah.
We'll have to find you when we're down in California coming
November.
up here in November. So
Yes, please.
absolutely.
We're taking a couple of days. We purchased some points at the Disneyland Villas, the new DVC tower that they're building.
Nice.
I'm like, we should probably get down there at some point. So
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can take us on the canoes. We'll see.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, now that I know, we're definitely going to have to plan that.
Perfect.
I don't know. I went canoeing a bunch when I was little. That's probably why I've never done
Disney
it.
canoeing?
I have not been Disney canoeing. So I think the maximum people in the canoe I've had was 4. So
We are 20.
20. Oh my gosh.
That's a big canoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to try it. We have to try it. We have to try it.
I can just see Sterling trying to paddle with his little tiny
It's
arms.
fine.
It'll be great. I promise.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Tyler. And I can't wait to meet you here later this year. And thanks for sharing all of your stories.
Of course. Thank you. I'm looking forward to November then.
And now it's time for our own set of disclaimers that you have come to know and love.
I don't know about loving, but yeah, okay. We are not affiliated with Disney, and we are not travel agents. While we can offer our opinions and suggestions, we do recommend working with a travel agent to plan your perfect vacation.
If you have questions or suggestions, or would like to be interviewed on our show to share your Disney experiences, please send an email to podcast@ourmousecapades.com.
You can follow us on socials at Our Mousecapades. And please take a second and rate and review us in your podcast app. It really helps people find us.
Thanks for listening. We'll be in your ears next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.